River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, and the whole gang is here. I think this is the first. I think it's the first time in almost 2 weeks we've had all three of us on.
2 weeks, or I mean,
2 months, maybe.
months. Yeah, it's been like 2 months. Like we got together and just talked, but yeah, like this is the first time in like 2 months we're actually all doing a show together.
Dude,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. I was like, Jesus Christ, yeah, it's just been either James or Eric. I've been the only constant. Like if I'm out, we're just done. Like,
Well, yeah, because you're the only one that knows how to run this shit.
I don't know how to run the show.
There's been a couple of times where James and I are like, "Are we gonna do the show?" And we're like, "I don't know how to run any of this stuff."
I need to send you guys what our EP did to show me how to use SteamYard or StreamYard so we can do this. Yeah, we do this on Steam and Twitch. We actually are on Twitch, just not live. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Guys, we're here for another Friday Parlay episode. That's why we got our Indiana Dan, Jimmy B, and Easy E, and all three of us are here this time. We don't have to just go off a piece of paper for picks. We have them all right here, and I mean it. They're all right here. And cool, the scroll works. I had a lot of trouble getting this on here for some reason, Eric. But anyway, our picks are here, everybody. So why don't we just go ahead and start diving right into it? We can rotate who wants to explain why we picked each one of these. I think it seems pretty obvious, though, right off the bat. We're going straight money line with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting Bo Nix and the woeful Denver Broncos. I feel like I have been championing the Bucks. I've been very quietly very, very happy for Baker Mayfield and just the phenomenal season that he's been having so far, upsetting the Lions in Detroit and then kicking the absolute crap out of the Commanders. There's no reason in Tampa that they shouldn't just destroy Denver. Do you gentlemen agree?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's no reason. We all know something can happen, but I think Tampa's defense too, going against Bo Nix, will probably give him a lot of fits and problems during the day. So yeah, I mean, if definitely on paper, Bucks should win money line on this one.
Yeah, that's you hit on the big thing for me there, Jimmy B, is that I think that the Buccaneers defense is going to really rattle Bo Nix a lot in this particular game. They play a very aggressive style of defense, and they send a lot of different coverages and a lot of exotic blitz packages and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of their trademark of what they do, and he hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks against teams that aren't quite as complex defensively. I mean, the Steelers do some stuff, but not as much as the Buccaneers do. So I think with him looking lost like he has these last 2 weeks, I think against the Buccaneers, he's going to look just really far gone. I expect this game to be 24-0, 24-3 by like halftime. I think the Buccaneers will just dominate and destroy them. I think the Broncos are going to be struggling to generate 50 to 75 yards of offense in the first half.
It's going to be a very uphill battle, and Tampa has the three-headed pass attack monster of I can't remember his name, but I believe he's a rookie, and then Chris Godwin literally going God mode this year so far. He's got some stupid stats for a wide receiver per PFF, and Mike Evans still looking like he's on pace for this would be his 11th consecutive 1,000-yard season, and then this is arguably the best year that Baker's had in his entire career. Like,
yeah,
maybe Denver doesn't break like other defenses did, but they'll be out on the field so much because, yeah, exactly. Todd Bowles is a very creative defensive coordinator, and he will stymie the crap out of Bo.
Well, he just feasts on young quarterbacks. That's just like he will figure out what Bo Nix's weakness is, and he will exploit it, guaranteed. Like that's what Todd Bowles does. Like when you look at the playoff game that they first had with Bucks and Jalen, he just said, "Oh, we'll just make him roll to his left," and that's what he did, and that's how he won the football game. So he's doing his film research, and he will know what to do to Bo Nix to have the defense just stymie the heck out of him. So
tie this back into the Niners. The only rookie that I can recall to beat a Bowles system was Brock when they came to San Francisco, and we absolutely mopped the floor with the Tom Brady, Todd Bowles Buccaneers 2 years ago, which was quite a sight to behold.
Yeah. I mean, if the Broncos somehow pulled out a victory in this game, that would be one of the largest upsets of the weekend by far. I'm surprised the line isn't higher. I think the line was only like 6 on this game, which is not very much. I mean, I'm really stunned that it's not at least 10, to be honest. I mean, the Broncos have done nothing for 2 weeks in a row. So
no, the only quarterback arguably that played worse so far is the one that just got benched.
Not looking good for Alabama quarterbacks right now.
No, it is not.
Not at all. Let's get this train moving, not to beat a dead horse too much. We need to go to the unstoppable running back meeting the immovable defense. It's the Chargers going to Acrisure. I hate saying that, but they're going to Pittsburgh, Acrisure Stadium instead of Heinz Field. And Jim Harbaugh facing off against Mike Tomlin. I might have to split this between I might have to split my screen between this and the Colts and the Bears because I'm so excited for this game. Jim Harbaugh has completely reinvented the Chargers. That defense is punching way above its weight class. That running game is amazing. It doesn't matter that that Herbert is not throwing, not that he has anybody to throw to. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have anybody to throw to. They're having an amazing running game. And then we know that Pittsburgh defense is very, very stout, despite the limitations they have on offense with Justin Fields. I think this game is going to be awesome. And I'm agreeing with what we decided to put for the ticket that the Chargers will end up being on top. And Harbaugh will be 3-0, breaking the Chargers curse seemingly through 3 weeks. But, but no, this game is, I'm so excited for this game. It's going to be hard unless the Colts and Bears game is absolute garbage. I'm going to be splitting the screen between those two games. I'm so excited.
Narrator's voice. The Colts Bears game will be garbage.
No, it's Ron Howard in Arrested Development. It is. But no, what do you guys think about this Chargers-Steelers game?
Well, I was really surprised that the Chargers were underdogs going into this game. I honestly felt like they should be the favorite in this game.
They've not been paying attention to Dobbs or whatever their running back's name is. They've not been paying attention to him. He's running like a beast this year.
Yeah, and plus the Steelers offense is very unimaginative. And it's got Justin Fields in there, and it doesn't really look like an offense somebody should be scared of. So I just think the Chargers will come through in this game. It might be close because it's in Pittsburgh, but I don't see Pittsburgh's offense really doing anything much to that Chargers defense.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that we're definitely going to see in this game is we're going to see the most manly handshake after the game between the two coaches, because Harbaugh and Tomlin are both going to just get in there and be like, ah! I mean, they're going to slap hands. So you guys convinced me to take this game. I don't really love this game that much because the Steelers for me are just always so unpredictable. They'll be up and they'll win 1 week, and then the next week they'll come out and they'll lay a complete egg. And so I don't really know what to think of them. I mean, they have won the last 2 weeks, but they haven't really done it very convincingly. You make a good point, Jimmy B, that Justin Fields is the quarterback. They only have 1 touchdown over the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, I think that the Chargers should win this game. I'm a little leery of a West Coast team flying east for a 1 p.m. game. That always seems to go poorly for whatever reason.
They've been hanging out on the East Coast. I forget the city, but I remember hearing that they stayed on the East Coast, so maybe that helps.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, Dobbins has been great so far this season, but I mean, he's been good every game that he's managed to actually play and stay healthy for. The problem is that he just can't stay healthy. So every Chargers run with him is basically just you're just hoping and praying that he doesn't shatter into a million pieces. But I mean, I think the Chargers will pull this off. I think this game will probably be an interesting and entertaining game to watch. It'll probably be closer than it probably should be because I don't think the Chargers really have that kind of offense this year to sort of blow people away and pull away from people. If you told me this game was happening with the Chargers team from last year, you know, I would expect the Chargers to kind of just run through the Steelers and blow them away with the amount of weapons and things that Herbert had and their ability to really pile up points. This year, that doesn't seem to be their thing. They seem to be taking a much more methodical approach to everything. And the Steelers defense is good. So I think it'll be a fairly close game and certainly much more entertaining to watch than the Colts Bears game that you won. I admire your dedication to both the Colts and the Bears franchises that you actually want to watch that game. Out of all the games that are on Sunday in the 1 o'clock slot, that's not one that I am going to entertain in any way, shape, or form.
Dude, it's going to be a split between a real slobber knocker of just running in defense with the Chargers and the Steelers. And then on the other side, it's going to be the 2 most erratic, just unpredictable throws because neither Anthony or Caleb looked like they could hit the broadside of a barn last weekend. They were throwing so many terrible passes.
Well, it'll be one guy that throws the ball 75 yards down the field and the other guy that throws the ball 7.5 inches down the field. So that's what you got.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. Like, I know it's not on the ticket, but when I was looking through everything, I was like, oh yeah, the battle for 65 is this weekend. I don't know. Last thing about this one before we go to the next game. Who had the better soundbite? Because I sent you both of them. Or I think I sent you guys both of them. Mike Tomlin saying, I don't want to show you how the hot dog's made because you might not like the ingredients. Or Jim Harbaugh saying, like Moses, I will live and die by my staff.
Oh, yeah. Moses. Yeah, definitely Moses.
I like, so the fact that I'm in Ohio means that I hate Harbaugh because he coached Michigan. So I can't show him any love. So I'm going to have to go with Tomlin in that regard.
Whole press conference, Tomlin, as a whole press conference, Tomlin was better because even before that, he was not having it with questions about Russell Wilson. He was just straight up like, Fields is our starter. We're not projecting Russell to participate, but should he participate, we will reevaluate and go from there. But right now, it's Justin. It's like, message received, dude. Like, he was not having it.
He's a really direct guy, though. So I mean, like when he tells you something, like that is what it is, and that's it, and that's all there is to it. Like, there's no point in asking a million times over different variations. There's no other answer.
Yeah, no, he was not having it at this press conference. You could tell he was getting legit irritated.
See, my point is, though, the reason why Jim's is better is because Mike Tomlin lives in Pennsylvania where the Amish are at. And when you think of stuff that you don't want to find out is in your food from Pennsylvania, it's Scrapple. Like, you don't want to know what's in Scrapple. It's sort of like a hot dog, but totally different. It's got like oats and stuff. So like a lot of people, I love Scrapple, but there are a lot of people who don't eat it because they know what's in it. Same as a hot dog. But if you're from PA, you should reference Scrapple before you reference hot dogs, and that's just my point of view there.
I have never heard of Scrapple in my life.
I hadn't either. When we were talking, just the two of us the other day, you were telling me, oh God, what was it that you were? Was it shingles? Were you telling me some food was called shingles, or
I
I
don't
can't?
think I was.
I have to think back on it. We were talking on the phone, so I don't have a text of it. But no, damn. Well, that story went nowhere.
Oh,
There's
I
something
know
called
what
shit
you're
on a
talking about.
shingle.
No, yes, shit on a shingle.
There we go.
Yes.
That was it.
Shit on a shingle. That is cream chip beef. Okay, it's corned beef that is
It's on like toast, right?
with like a creamy like sauce. Like, yeah, it's got a creamy sauce, and you mix it in with the corned beef, and you put it over toast.
That's what it was. Okay, now see, we did finally get there. It was I knew it had a shingle involved. And I'm too lazy to do censors. I'll just put an explicit tag on this one.
But that being said, like, you still like it's okay to know what's in corned beef and shit on a shingle. Like, you just don't want to know what's in Scrapple. Like, you just don't. You just don't. And that, if you're from PA, you should reference Scrapple before you reference hot dogs when you talk about what should go in it, what goes in it. So
right.
All right.
No, I gotcha. Well, moving on. I have no graceful segue. Going to the next one, as our YouTube viewers can see already. Alvin Kamara is going on a tear, making a case for Offensive Player of the Year. We think that combined rushing and receiving offensive yards, he is going to go over 125 total. Thankfully, it's not split because I do not know him well enough to have made that distinction, but 125 total. Yeah. Do any of us think that he won't do this? James, you really spearheaded.
Oh my gosh. So the Eagles
explain where the line was and then why we
pushed it up. Eagles run differential, or Eagles run defense is horrible. And you look at what Bijan Robinson did to them last week at home. He came 123 yards. That's Bijan Robinson in the Atlanta offense going for 123 combined yards against the Eagles at home. And Kamara is more experienced. They know how to work him a lot in that offense. He's already on a tear. I don't expect the Eagles to be able to stop him whatsoever. The original line over under was at 103.5, which seemed a little bit too easy for me. So I was like, I think it's going to be higher. I think it's going to be way higher. So I wanted to bump it up to 113.5, but Eric showed the odds, and so the next odds up were 125. So I said, yep. I mean, Bijan Robinson hit 123 last week. I don't see any reason why in the dome Kamara doesn't get a combined rushing and receiving of 125 plus.
So Kamara had 115 and 65 last week. So that would be 180 if my math is accurate.
Yeah.
So, and that was against the Cowboys.
Just in Jerry World.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. Like, you guys know what the main factor is for this complete resurgence for the Saints?
Well, it seems to be the Clint Kubiak offense.
Yeah. No, they poached him because we just had him as a passing game coordinator or specialist and kind of co-ran the offense with Kyle ultimately making the calls. But the offense was constructed between the two of them, kind of like how we have Sorensen and Brandon Staley co-authoring the defense, despite Nick ultimately making the calls on the field. It was that same thing, but on the offense. And yeah, dude, massive returns for having Kubiak on that staff. Excuse me. I don't think anybody, even the most diehard Saints fan, expected this to happen.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, everybody was predicting the Saints to be, the Saints. They're a nice 500 level team and kind of be what they were going to be, and no real maybe win the division, but probably finish behind the Falcons because everybody's been slurping on the Falcons this season and thinking that they were going to do everything. And nobody expected them to put up whatever it was, like 91 or 94 points in 2 games. That's for sure. And they certainly didn't expect them to go out and blow the doors off the Cowboys. But, that's the Cowboys. I mean, so, they're always willing to go out and choke away a game like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been impressive to see what they're doing. Derek Carr looks like he is comfortable out there and is running the offense very well, and it's suited for him. And he kind of gets a bad rap, but he's not a terrible quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He's a perfectly above average quarterback in the league, and he's probably not going to win you a ton of games, but he's not going to necessarily lose you a ton of games either. So, I mean, if they can put things together for an entire season, the Saints could make some real noise. I mean, their defense is pretty legit and elite too. So, I mean, they could end up being a real threat.
Well, I think everybody expected the Saints to be the Aints this year, but yeah, they've come out very
Guilty.
surprisingly. They've come out very surprisingly and handled 2 teams really, really well. And every year this is supposed to be the Cowboys' year, and they're so great, and they just went and spanked them in Jerry World, no problem. And so, yeah, I mean, there's no reason, especially with the Eagles, who I think have the worst run defense in the league. Like their offense is going to really tear up the Eagles. And I don't know the Eagles going into the Saints after showing what they did last week at home. Like, could the Eagles win? I think they can, but it's not going to be where it's like a defensive battle where it's going to be stymied and they're stymieing their offense because when you have like the number 1 offense going against a really bad defense, it usually means bad news for the defense. So
Yeah, I'm sure Clint is very eager. It's a different defensive coordinator. It's oh my God, not Greg Roman, that was the OC. Vic Fangio. So it's going to be a little schematically different, but it's still basically the same players. I'm sure Clint is like, ooh, I remember what we did last time. I can't wait to see what we can do this time. Like with these weapons, like, and I'll admit I'm guilty of thinking the Saints were going to be absolute dog poo this year, but yeah, I'll just get my shoe in my mouth and just kudos to them. They are kicking butt and taking names. So anyway, Alvin Kamara going over 125 yards seems like a very safe bet. The next running back, we're taking the over on his rushing yards. We just stuck with the line that was there on DraftKings, 92.5 yards against the LA Rams. Eric, I don't think it took much convincing to remind James that Mason has been on a tear and the Rams are injured to absolute hell and back, more on the offensive side than defensive side. But Jordan, I will selfishly take a pat on the back for cheering his praises last year. Like, this guy needs to be the number 2. I don't care if Elijah is healthy or hurt. Like, JP needs to be the number 2. Did I think he was going to be this good? Absolutely not. Am I happy he is? Well, duh. He's had 100 yards twice. So against this terrible Rams team, that's, admittedly really hurt. They'd be good if obviously the injury bug didn't pick them as their sacrifice this year. And it doesn't matter that it's in LA because our fans take over LA. So very, very safe bet for Jordan Mason to once again go over 100 yards, especially without Debo in the mix this week because he's going to be out for what? If he didn't already go on IR, I think we were expecting him to be out for a month anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, when I think you championing that Mason should be a number 2, people may have been hearing that he was going to be a number 2 as if he was going to the bathroom or something. So that's probably what they thought when you said number 2. They did not expect
understandable.
they probably not expect him to be this successful. So
yeah, I mean, for me, this was pretty easy. Mason's looked really great running the ball the last 2 weeks. He's gone over 100 and then hit 100 exactly in his 2 games. And with the Niners being down, Debo being down McCaffrey again, and then it sounds like possibly being down Kittle.
That's 50-50. I checked before we got on here. It's 50-50. Like he could, but
I no
not.
longer trust the Niners at 50-50.
Ward will play though. I did see Nick Wagner say that Ward was just not practicing today out of precaution.
Okay,
so,
fine. But
so
you tell
Kittle's
me someone's
50-50.
50-50, I think they're not playing anymore. Kyle's just a big fat liar.
This is true.
So, but I mean, if it's his hamstring, I mean, Kittle could go and run 2 routes and then come up lame with his hamstring. So, I mean, you kind of just don't know how that's going to go. But regardless of the fact of any of that, a staple of the 49ers game is just running the ball. I see no reason why they're not going to continue to give Mason a bunch of carries and a bunch of opportunities to run. The Rams gave up 91 and 40, so that's 131 to the combination of Montgomery and Gibbs in their first game of the season. And then they gave up 122. They gave up 231 total rushing yards across 122 to James Conner, 59 to Kyler Murray, 50 some to a few other guys on the team.
I watched that game and I forgot it was that bad on the ground. I was just thinking about how much Kyler was killing them through the air. I forgot it was that many rushing yards too.
Yeah. So, I mean, through 2 games, the Rams haven't really stopped anybody on the ground. I mean, if we just look at their lead back, they gave up 122 to Connor, and then we're going to say Montgomery and Gibbs are kind of one back in their own. So they gave up 131 to Montgomery and Gibbs. So I don't see any reason why Mason wouldn't easily eclipse whatever it is, 92.5. That just seems like a pretty easy number for him to hit. I would be very stunned if he doesn't make that.
Dude, 100%. It's I mean, this might be one of the last easy, like I'm gonna split my table in half knocking on wood, but even I don't know, this could be a kissing your cousin kind of game where it comes down to a kick, or I mean, I don't know. Those Rams are in a worse shape than we are. We're not in great shape, but it's primarily on the offense, luckily. So our defense can keep Bradford off Stafford, not Bradford.
Good old Sam Bradford.
The inglorious Bradford.
2010 called. We could keep Stafford off the field at least because his offensive line is garbage, and our defense is pretty damn healthy, even if Ward sits out this game, which by all accounts he's not. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's Kyle's got to get pretty creative figuring out how to lean on the run game and try to trickle in some passes when I mean, even if Kittle is there, we're down Debo, we're down CMC, we're down Ricky Parasol. Like, Third and Juwan's got to really step up. Maybe Cowing starts getting some reps, or Ronnie Bell gets a moment to step up. Like, hey, it's your time, bro. Like, prove that you deserve to be on this roster.
Yeah, I don't know particularly how the Rams are going to generate a lot of offense. I mean, as you saw last week versus the Cardinals, I mean, they just couldn't get anything going. I mean, you watched that game. I think
it's 3 starting linemen, Puka and Kupp, are all going to be out of this game.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how they're going to get anything going offensively. I mean, the Cardinals are not a defensive juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, and the Rams only put up 10 points against them. So I'm not really sure how they're going to make anything happen offensively. I mean, I think the game might be a little closer than it should be just because we're missing a couple of pieces offensively as well, but I just don't see how that's going to make any sort of real difference.
Right. It's kind of nice this year, at least this first game, to not be the one that's like, we can't sleep on the Rams. We can't sleep on the Rams. Like, yeah. Their offense is battered enough that even I'm like, okay, as long as our defense is not missing anybody or even just one person, i.e. Ward, our defensive line and Fred Warner, like it doesn't even matter what we do on the back seven. If our front seven gets to him as easily as it should, based on the way the Cardinals kick the crap out of him, I think we're going to be okay regardless what we do on offense.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals sacked him 5 times. I mean, if the Cardinals can sack him 5 times, I would like to think that we're going to probably eat him for lunch. So
yeah, no kidding. Between Floyd and Bosa alone, and then Hargrave in the middle, just that should be. I don't know. James, do you have anything to add to this before we go to our last game?
Not really. Just, I mean, I think our division winner Rams ticket is we're just gonna rip it in half and call it. Just be like, yeah, that's not hitting.
Unless everybody miraculously, unless they go on this ungodly tear from mid-October through December, I'm pretty sure they're not going to come back can't talk. Come back with a vengeance, and go on like an 11-game winning streak once presumably everybody gets healthy. But sticking with the NFC West, our last game is in Seattle with the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to be taking the alternate spread of minus 2.5 with the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, poor Miami. I love their coach. Their coach gives just as many wonderful sound bites as Jim and Mike, and but otherwise, like, what is this? What's left with this team with Tua going on IR and their defense being pretty injured in their own right? Like, Holland came back from injury, but they lost so many people. They didn't look terrible for how many people they lost in free agency, but they just weren't quite there yet. And now Tua's out for a month and probably longer than a month if we're being real. Like, yeah, we're all very confident that Seattle's going to win this game. Jimmy, or one of you explain why we're doing this alternate spread, though.
So the actual spread is minus 4.5 on the Seahawks. I don't know what their record is against the spread, but a 4.5 spread pretty much means that you got to win almost by a touchdown. You drop it down to minus 2.5, you can win by a field goal, and you still win. So that was the allure of the minus 2.5, just in case somehow Miami makes the game and it ends on the last second field goal, we would still win our bet. So that's just sort of my logic of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, and that made perfect sense. It changed the odds, a little bit, not a ton. We're still going to get a really nice payout out of this whole thing if it all hits. And I think that was a good choice. I think ultimately the Seahawks would have covered the 4.5 anyways, because I think that the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson are just trash. I mean, the Dolphins weren't good when Tua was playing. They barely beat the Jaguars in week 1, and they didn't look good against the Bills in week 2 before Tua went out. And Skylar Thompson hasn't looked good when he's come in and played in place of Tua in the past. And I suspect that playing in Seattle, where it gets quite loud and quite rowdy, and where Seattle actually does play better typically, I just think that they're going to pretty much beat the Dolphins into the dirt.
Yeah. And speaking of that Bills game, I mean, they didn't look good Miami didn't look against the Bills, and I believe they're going to have trouble paying the bill when it comes to Tua's contract too, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's got $124 million injury guarantee. So
even with that $50 million insurance policy, which a lot of people don't. Well, I mean, this doesn't ever come into question. Like, it's very, very rare when an owner needs to consider, or at least it comes out that the owner did take an insurance policy. Like, I mean, let's be real, they probably do just because freak accidents happen, but. Good call doing one for Tua when he got so many concussions before he signed this contract. Like, that's still going to be a hefty bill to pay for a team that already just purged so many players last offseason in order to make sure Tua and Jalen and Tyreek, and like, they paid the players that deserved money, but they couldn't keep it together like we can. Like, I'm not trying to like rub salt on the wound, but
It sounds like you are.
but no, they paid a lot of players. Like we didn't pay Brandon and Debo as close together as they paid Tyreek and Waddle, so that's impressive. And then Jalen obviously wasn't going to be going anywhere, and he deserved a pay raise. And then Tua, it's the market. We've had this. I'm not trying to make this 2 hours with the quarterback worth debate, but that's just where the market is. He didn't break the bank at 60 or 55, but 52, like,
yeah.
I don't agree he's worth that much either, but that's
then,
where the market put him. So
do we believe that the Miami owner is going to be telling Mike McDaniels just to basically tank for the year? Because we know that has been a thing with Miami in the past.
and the tampering. Let's not forget the Brady tampering.
Oh, the tampering and the sucking and tanking. Yeah, I wonder if that's trying to be discussed because
they are having that conversation of benching Tua. There's no way they're not.
Well, yeah, benching Tua and then basically just tanking until so that they get the number 1 pick this year, because we've heard it in the past, and that's something that they have told coaches to do. Like, I get it wasn't proven, but when Brian Flores goes 9-7 and then you fire him, and he comes out and tells they wanted me to tank, and I said I'm not going to tank. So
yeah. And
so,
they're not going to do Mike dirty like that. They literally just gave him an extension this offseason. They might be telling him like, yo, just life got in the way. Life is breaking to his brain. If this fails, if we fail the rest of the way, you get your pick of a quarterback you can build from scratch.
Yeah.
That has to be a conversation they're having.
Yeah.
Eric, what are you looking up or contemplating on this?
I'm just, I don't know. I'm trying to sort out whether or not I was trying to look up some salary information on Tua. I was trying to figure out. So I don't know. It's such a messy thing with him. I mean, you want to take the guy's health and his own personal safety into consideration and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think that the Dolphins, it's so early in the season to just say we're going to go ahead and tank for, we're going to suck for Sanders, as the tagline would be for this particular season.
Yeah, we just coined that a couple days ago.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems, unless you're the Panthers. I mean, obviously, if you're the Panthers, that would have made sense to do with Bryce Young. But I think it's still early for Miami if they think that. I mean, Tua's got to miss 4 games. I don't know.
He is on IR, so he is going to be out until mid-October.
I mean, I guess you just see. I mean, that puts you right at the trade deadline and everything like that. So, I mean, I guess you see where you stand. I mean, if they're 1-6 by the time that Tua is ready to come back, then I wouldn't play him. There's no point.
I wouldn't play him either. Like that just.
But if you, but to the point though, if you can't put him back in and play him, then what does that say about his future, right? Because I mean, like if you're scared to put him in and play him because you're afraid that he might get hurt or injured again for the rest of this particular season, then how can you rightfully put him out there and play him anytime going forward? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that you can, in the right mind and the good conscience do that. So, I mean, I think you have to probably just come up with, I mean, at that point in time, maybe you do have to just come up with an injury settlement and just say, we're going to cut ties with him and waive him. I forgot there are injury settlements with contracts this big still. I was going to say, just pay out the guarantees that are guaranteed. Like, well, you got to look at the guaranteed at signing and injury guarantees. I mean, in my scenario though, he's cleared, right? So he comes off at the end of his IR stint in 4 weeks, he's cleared. So he's technically eligible to come back in, but because they're 1-6 or 1-7, whatever the hell it is, he doesn't. They don't want to play him, so he can't really technically collect his injury guarantee. But they're not going to play him, so I don't know. I think it just becomes really messy. I don't know. I would have never paid the guy all that money to start with. I mean, I said that when we did the shows when they were signing these guys to all these deals. I mean, you can't pay a guy with that kind of an injury history, that kind of money, anyways. And he wasn't that good in the first place.
I remember the aneurysms you were having over the offseason with the quarterback
some
and
of
the wide receivers
that were going out.
Yeah. I mean, I would have never paid him that kind of money in the first place anyway. So, I mean, the Dolphins kind of reap what they sow as it is anyway. But
you have to pay one of them, Tua or Trevor. You have to pay one of them.
I would have paid Trevor before I paid Tua.
Trevor, yeah.
Okay, that was less of a debate than I expected. I would have paid Trevor too.
I mean, Trevor at least plays games. I mean, he's not gotten hurt. So, I mean, that would have been the easy tiebreaker for me every time.
Yeah.
I just remember you were when both of their contracts were signed, you were just like, Trevor's not that good. And then,
well, he's not. Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, he's not. But if I'm taking
that was it.
But if I'm taking mediocre guy and mediocre guy that gets hurt all the time, I'm gonna take mediocre guy.
Yeah, if I have no other choice but to sign either one, then yeah, I'm going with Trevor.
Yeah.
Trevor gets hurt too, but he doesn't miss. He doesn't quite miss. He doesn't break his brain. He just plays on a bum ankle.
Yeah. I mean, Tua's. I mean that hit that Tua took for this last concussion. I mean, that was just a tackle. I mean, like when I heard that it happened, because I didn't see the game live. When I heard that it happened, like I expected another one of those scenarios where he got like suplexed into the turf or whatever, and broke his brain and all that stuff. And I was just like, oh man, that's really terrible that happened. And then I saw the play and I was just like, oh, I'm like, dude just got tackled. I mean, he was running forward, kind of leaned in a little bit, and Hamlin just tackled him, and then he had a concussion. I'm like, that's not good, because you're gonna get walloped a whole hell of a lot harder than that playing quarterback at some point in time,
especially with the way Tua plays quarterback too.
Yeah, and like your brain's just gonna like run out the side of your helmet at some point in time.
Right. I call this a hot take or not. We are getting close to our time, but call this a hot take or not. I don't know if Miami really can tell him not to. Like maybe the league could, but I mean, who is a business that getting fired is one thing, but like being forced into retirement in this kind of manner, like do you think, excuse me, do you think Miami or the league would or even could tell him that he can't play anymore? Or because I feel like this is all on Tua and they just have to deal with like, okay, well, how can we still do our game plan and not put Tua in a position to get killed if they even can? Because he likes to play hero ball.
Well, I mean, the NFL really can't, I don't think, can force you to retire, but if it came down to it, they would probably, the Miami would pay out his guarantees, release him, and just let the league decide if they want to hire him or not.
Yeah.
Because basically, if, let's just say, they do release him and the owners get together and basically say, we're not going to, bring him back because of his health injury. That's collusion. And if that happens, they can burn the CBA. Like if they can prove collusion,
right,
they can burn the CBA. So it'd be a very tricky situation to say like, okay, we're not going to hire you anymore because of your injury history. Be a very tricky situation for them to do that. So the owners would have to basically silently agree that they wouldn't take him.
I mean, Miami can make him not their problem. I mean, that's the easiest thing that they can do is like the scenario we were just talking through is he comes off of IR in week 7 or week 8 or whatever it is. And they just go, we're not putting you back on the field. And then at the end of the season, they just, hey, we're parting ways. We're going to release Tua. We're going to eat $100 million in the cap, whatever it ends up being. But we're done. And they just walk away. Now, to James's point, if another team in the NFL wants to pick Tua up and make him their problem, then that's on them. They can do that. Or every other team in the league can simply say, the guy has a really bad injury history. We're not going to risk it. We don't want any part of it. That's an option too. But I think the biggest opportunity there is for Miami to just simply say that they're just going to walk away from it and not have him play for the franchise anymore, because they don't want to be the franchise that's known for having scrambled a guy's brain on the field. I mean, that's where we're getting close to. I mean,
and just the thing about it is the serious effects of CTE is really, really bad. I mean, you look at the Aaron Hernandez case, like his CTE, the person, the doctor who looked at it said it was the worst case of CTE she had ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, and that the parts of the brain that, decide what is right and wrong were just dead, and that's what he's looking at. Like that's at his age, that's what he's looking at. He's looking at doing so much damage to his brain that he might start losing, the ability to tell between right and wrong. That's how serious this stuff is.
Well, yeah, and among other things, like that's not even touching on cognitive function.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Tua, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm finding a doctor that says
you can't play anymore.
I can't play anymore. I'm finding a doctor that says my brain is too scrambled. I can't play anymore. I'm collecting my $124 million injury settlement and peace out. I'll go do TV or whatever it is.
I don't care what coach. He could be a quarterback.
Yeah.
Coach.
I mean, I don't care what it is that I'm going to do. I got $124 million plus all the money that I made already. I don't need to play football anymore. It doesn't matter. Sorry about your luck, Dolphins. Sucks to be you. I'm good later
and
on.
The Dolphins would pay out all that too, because they don't want the optics of they don't want the PR nightmare of not paying all his the semantics of like the how they are guaranteed whatever. They don't want to be the team to shortchange a guy that retired because he cared about his brain.
No.
Well, no. I mean, hold on a sec. These are the NFL owners. So
I mean, yeah, they
are the ones that tried to pretend concussions didn't exist for years.
I just want to make it known when it comes to like insurance policies and all this stuff. Jay Ajayi basically had an insurance policy, and it took him 5 years of fighting in court just to collect. And he didn't get all of the insurance policy that he should have. Like I wouldn't put it past Miami to try and say like nickel and dime him. I mean, as much as that could cause a PR problem, we all know that the NFL can stuff like that. So
I was just thinking when Andrew Luck retired, Jim did pay out not just the guarantees, that he paid out Andrew Luck's contract, and I guess I didn't appreciate how big an outlier that was, like to the contract, not just the guarantees. He was like, yo, Luck, like, our bad for breaking you. Here's your whole contract.
Yeah.
That's
maybe he was just trying to avoid a lawsuit, but understand like
he also could have been drunk at the time. It's one of the
I mean, understand like there's precedent set that the league can stuff under the rug what they want to stuff under the rug.
Yeah.
And if Miami really wants to, they could probably nickel and dime Tua, and
it's technically in their right. Yeah.
They could nickel and dime Tua, and we wouldn't hear about it from anybody, other than maybe Pro Football Talk. That's it.
Yeah.
It'd be the only place we'd hear it from. Every other source would be quiet on it.
God bless Mike Florio.
Yeah, and I mean you make a good point, James. Because I mean, this was the league that for a long time was just like concussions; those don't happen.
Yeah, yeah. You're not having early Alzheimer's because of concussions. No, no.
Concussions aren't a thing. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a whole Will Smith movie about it.
I know.
Junior
Either-
Seau wasn't because of CTE.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
I think with that's a good note to end this on. And it's time now. If my voice doesn't go out, I ran out of my soda. We need to talk about our sponsor, RoyalRetros.com. What is Royal Retros? It is your go-to place to get yourself an authentic throwback jersey. Whether you are a football fan or a fan of one of the other major sports here in the United States, Royal Retros has you covered. Go ahead and check out the Candlestick collection. It's curated with the Bay Area in mind. And when you find something that you like, use the promo code Shady Sports and you will get 10% off of your entire order. Again, it's promo code Shady Sports at royalretros.com for 10% off of your order. Go visit royalretros.com and get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. James, I'm going to make you do the shirts because I have to cough.
So, guys, what we've been trying to do is bring awareness to owner accountability in the NFL due to the fact that there really is none. When a player does something wrong, we're hearing about it 24/7. Everything we know right away as soon as a player is arrested, what's going on, what the charges are, what's everything. I mean, look at the Tyreek Hill situation. Like literally, he got arrested, and the very same day we all heard about it. It was all over the news. But yet, the Houston Texans minority owner got arrested for very serious sexual crimes, and we went about 3 months before it even came out. And we know Dan Snyder was very good at pulling out, um, basically skeletons out of everybody's closet. And we know that there were 31 PowerPoint slides on the blackmail PowerPoint. So we know these owners are doing bad things. We're just not hearing about it. And when they do something that actually where they get arrested, we don't hear about it as well. So we are saying that owner standards are less than player standards. Hashtag owner accountability. The NFL has said that owner standards are supposed to be greater than player standards. So this is why we are taking on the NFL and calling them out and asking them to do what they say they will do. With that being said, we are raising money for a charity called Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers in Kentucky, and we are selling these shirts right here. This is the standard statement that we're saying. Comes in different colors. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. We have different styles, and we got them in all different sizes too, up to 3XL. Next up, we have our podcast logo art. You'll find this on wherever you listen to us or watch us. This will be our profile logo. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, different styles, different sizes. Next up, we have our alternate logo art. This is just plain letters with the field goal and the peanuts. I have this shirt, very high quality, $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, and we have different colors, different sizes, and different styles of that. And finally, last but not least, how can you say no to our mascot, a peanut eating peanuts while cheering on his San Francisco 49ers? $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. Donate to Mountain Comprehensive Care Centers today. Great organization.
Yeah, links to the shirts and Mountain Comprehensive Care, if you want more information on them as well, are in the show notes. Just double check that below the video or in your podcast player. We don't want any money from these shirts. We want you to just have a cool shirt while you're having a family in need. We kind of let the cat out of the bag. That was my only thing for the news, was that Kittle is at least questionable, and Ward apparently, I'd be surprised if he wasn't questionable, but it sounds like Ward isn't in that bad of an injury shape. But I'll open the floor to you guys if there's any news that you have that you want to share very briefly before we sign out.
Well, the Panthers' Bryce Young vows to be better after benching.
Well,
whatever that's supposed to mean.
I sure hope so. Actually, or finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know how you could be worse than what he particularly was. So, I mean, I also don't know how you can be better when you're also on the bench. But okay, good luck with that, buddy.
everything about that situation, not to belabor this, but everything about that situation is just bonkers. I can't follow the rationale. The more I've thought about it and the more I've heard pundits talking about it, like James, I don't think you were here with us when that news broke. What I mean, just real quick, what is your 2 cents on that? Like, this is just a this is I'm not trying to drop an F-bomb. This is just a wild story.
Well, first of all, I've never seen a team give up so quick on a number one overall draft pick that fast. Like, we're literally 2 games into his second year, and that's it. He's done. He's benched. That's it. We're calling it quits on this guy.
With
You
a
know?
coach that was hired for fixing Baker Mayfield and then also fixing Geno Smith. And now this guy's just like, nah, 2 weeks, he's broke. Like, what? What is happening?
Yeah, it's incredible that an organization is giving up so quickly on a number one overall draft pick. I mean, you just don't see teams doing this. And that's, honestly, I hope it doesn't work. I really hope it doesn't work, because you will, if this works, if they somehow give up on Bryce Young, end up with the number one draft pick, and then end up like winning all these games, like that's what teams are going to start doing. They're going to start really, they're not going to give players really a chance. Like it's he had Frank Wright as his coach, who quit on him.
Got
three,
fired.
3 quarters. Well, Frank Wright quit. That's like, he may have been fired, but I guarantee you he was also wanting to be out of that situation too. And this is a guy who has had no stability at all in his NFL career. Like, and if they give up this easily on him, draft some other guy, who knows if that guy's going to be any good either, and how long you going to stick with that guy? Like this is,
It could be
I
an
don't know.
Eli situation too, where he's just like, I'm not going to Carolina.
Yeah,
In this age of NIL, that could definitely happen.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, how are you going to get how are you going to get a quarterback to come to your organization if you're really this bad? Like, you can't keep a coach. You give up on your players this fast. Like, yeah, I don't think it's good for the league. I don't think it's good for the players. And I just, I wish the kid luck. You know, I hope somewhere he can, like, just be a backup and then one day come in and, you know, be a comeback player of the year or something like Geno Smith or something like that. I really feel bad that he was put into this situation, and he he hasn't had any stability in his career, in a little over a season. Like, this is just crazy. I I don't like it. I hope somebody will take a chance on him as a backup and just sort of let him learn. It used to, organizations that have let their quarterbacks learn behind quarterbacks have done pretty well too. So maybe somebody like, I don't know, the Eagles might do something like that. Bring him on as a third string or practice squad player and let him learn the system and just, be a backup quarterback, and then, who knows, but I don't like I don't like it. I don't like the situation at all.
I've seen rumors of him possibly going to the Dolphins as a potential landing spot. So that would be interesting in the sense that he could go there and be a backup for Tua and help fill shoes out there and run that Mike McDaniel's offense. And, since he can't throw downfield, the short pass, quick game would essentially fit right into the scheme of what he's supposedly has the skill set for. So, I mean, that would be a potential landing spot for him. But you brought up a real interesting point, James, in the fact that he's just had chaos for a coaching staff around him during his entire tenure. And it's certainly done him no favors. I mean, he just passing the eye test doesn't really seem like he has the tangible skills of an NFL quarterback. I mean, we've seen a lot of other guys go through, I'll use Baker Mayfield, Dan's guy as an example, going through a series of coaches and coordinators and stuff like that. And, Baker still always looked like he had something at least. He never could kind of like quite seemed like he could put it together, and that was where it always seemed to get blamed on the coaches and all the turnover and stuff. But he at least seemed like he had something, and we're finally seeing that in Tampa now that he's had some stability. He's able to kind of put it together. When you watch Bryce Young play, he just doesn't look like he has it. Like he just looks very scared. He looks very tentative. He bails out on almost every throw. When he's throwing, he won't step up into the pocket. I
mean, I could see an organization like, that, has nurtured quarterbacks into something, taking a shot on them because nobody else will.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the Chiefs, that would be another organization that could bring him on, and like he could just learn and be a backup behind Patrick Mahomes. And, who knows? I mean, Patrick Mahomes does get injured, and, we've seen that they've had to use the backup a couple of times in Kansas City. Like, I don't like a team in a league just giving up on them after a season and an eighth, a season and the eighth of a season. Like, I get it that he may not have the skill sets right now, but I think maybe I don't know, but maybe under the right tutelage where he has some stability, maybe he can succeed. You just never know.
Yeah, he's done in Carolina. He'll end up on somebody else's roster next year for a 7th round pick, but whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just it'll be interesting to see how this continues to play out, especially if Dalton gets hurt and he has to go back in. But that will be we will react to that when that happens. I'm not trying to put that out there.
Oh, but, so messy, so messy, Dan, so messy. The fans will just boo mercilessly if that occurs.
We will react to that should that happen. We got to get out of here, guys. We are playing Sunday at 4:30. It's not the game of the week because Mark Sanchez is calling the game. I'll be listening. I'll be listening to our radio guys.
You and Mark Sanchez have the same hair. Why are you complaining?
I know, like you guys have the same hairdresser and everything. I'm surprised, like you're not excited.
I like to think my hair looks better than his.
Yeah.
But Sunday at 4:30. We'll be back on Tuesday to talk about hopefully us beating the Rams. Our music is River Road by Justin Muth. And beat the Rams. We'll catch you guys on Tuesday.
Later, guys.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the